I woke up in a room that wasn't mine. White walls, fluorescent lights humming overhead. A window with bars I could see through half-drawn curtains. The bed had rails. Industrial. The kind you see in hospitals. My mouth tasted like metal and cotton. My head felt stuffed with wet wool. I tried to sit up. The room tilted. My arms were heavy, uncooperative. A woman in blue scrubs appeared in the doorway. 50-ish, name tag that read Sharon. "Mr. Thornton, you're awake." She said it like she'd been expecting me. "How are you feeling? Where am I?" "Meadowbrook Senior Care. Your son Craig brought you in 3 days ago. You're safe here." 3 days. The last thing I remembered was Wednesday evening. Dinner at Craig's place in Shaughnessy. Roast chicken, Vanessa, his wife, pouring coffee. Craig saying something about my blood pressure medication, handing me a pill I didn't recognize. "Take this, Dad. Dr. Fisher adjusted your dosage. Said you should start tonight." I'd taken it without question. Why wouldn't I? He was my son. Now it was Saturday. 3 days gone. "I need to leave," I said, throwing back the blanket. I was wearing clothes I didn't recognize. Sweatpants, a t-shirt that wasn't mine. Sharon stepped forward, hands raised in that calming gesture nurses use. "Mr. Thornton, you need to rest. You've had a very disorienting episode." Your son explained everything. The confusion, the wandering. "I don't wander. He said you wouldn't remember." "That's part of the condition." I looked at her name tag again, at the door with its keypad lock, at the window with bars disguised as decorative ironwork. "Where are my clothes?" "Safe. We'll get them for you when you're feeling better." "Where's my phone?" "Your son has it. For safekeeping." I sat on the edge of the bed, feet on cold linoleum, and understood exactly what had happened. My son had drugged me, moved me while I was unconscious, and locked me in a facility I'd never agreed to enter. At that moment I didn't know a moving truck was already in my driveway. I should start with before. Before makes it worse. I'm Robert Thornton. 68 years old. Widower for 2 years. I spent 41 years in oil and gas. Started as a roughneck in the Legic fields in 1976. Worked my way to operations manager for a mid-size exploration company. Retired in 2019 with a pension, company stock, and a house in Evergreen that I'd paid off in 1998. Judith and I bought that house when Craig was 3, 4 bedrooms, southwest-facing yard, view of the Rockies on clear days. We'd planned to grow old there. Travel in the summers, host Christmas dinners, watch grandkids play in the same rooms where Craig had grown up. But there were no grandkids. Craig and Vanessa had been married 11 years. Every year Judith would hint. Every year Vanessa would smile and change the subject. My wife Judith died of a stroke in April 2024. Fast, merciful, the doctors said. She'd have hated lingering, but I wasn't ready. 43 years of marriage doesn't prepare you for the silence that comes after. After she passed, Craig started coming around more. He and Vanessa would visit on Sundays, bring groceries, check the furnace, mow the lawn. At first I was grateful. Thought it was grief bringing us closer. Good kids, I thought. Thoughtful. Craig worked in finance. Something with investment portfolios and hedge funds I never fully understood. He'd always been ambitious. Private school, University of Calgary, MBA from Huskane. The kind of son who made you proud at dinner parties, who knew wine pairings and could talk economics with anyone. Vanessa was quieter. Real estate, mostly high-end condos downtown. They lived well enough that money was never supposed to be the reason they looked at my house the way they did, but something had shifted. I noticed it in small things. The way Craig looked at his phone during conversations, the way Vanessa's smile seemed tight when they thought I wasn't watching. 6 months after Judith died, Craig brought up the house. "It's a lot of space for one person, Dad," he said, sitting at my kitchen table. The same table where Judith and I used to do taxes and crosswords. 4 bedrooms, that yard, the maintenance. I can manage. Can you? He'd looked around like he was cataloging evidence. The gutters need cleaning. The deck's rotting on the south side. When's the last time you had the furnace serviced? I'm 68, not 90. I can clean gutters. Mom did most of this stuff. That was true. Judith had been the organizer. The one who remembered service schedules and warranty expirations. What are you suggesting? Downsize, condo, something manageable. You could travel, golf, enjoy retirement without worrying about property upkeep. He'd made it sound reasonable, thoughtful, even. But something in his eyes, the way he glanced at the crown molding, the hardwood floors Judith and I had refinished ourselves in 03, made my jaw tighten. I like my house, I said. He dropped it, for a while. In November, Craig showed up with an estate planner named Gerald. Just reviewing your affairs, Dad, Craig said, making sure everything's in order. You know, in case something happens. Gerald was smooth, mid-40s, expensive suit, leather portfolio, Mr. Thornton. Do you have power of attorney designated? Healthcare directive? We want to make sure that if you're ever unable to make decisions, someone you trust can step in. I had that with Judith. She handled it. Exactly, but now that she's passed, you need someone else. Your son has offered to take on that responsibility. The papers were already prepared, flagged with little colored tabs. Sign here, initial here. It's standard, Gerald said. Everyone does this. It doesn't activate unless you're incapacitated. It's just a safety net. Craig sat across from me, looking concerned. Son-like, I don't want to be in a position where I can't help you if you need it. I thought about Judith, about what she'd want, about the fact that Craig was my only child. I signed what the papers actually said. What Gerald's smooth voice and Craig's concerned face didn't explain was that Craig now had comprehensive authority over my finances, property and medical decisions pending a single physician's certification of incapacity, any physician willing to sign, one doctor's signature, and I'd be legally helpless. The morning after I woke up in Meadowbrook, Sharon brought me breakfast on a beige plastic tray, oatmeal, orange juice, pills in a little paper cup. What are these? I asked. Your medications. Craig provided the list. I don't take medications, just blood pressure, and I have those at home. Sharon smiled that patient smile. These are for anxiety and mood stabilization. Doctor's orders. What doctor? Dr. Brennan. He evaluated you when you were admitted. I never met a Dr. Brennan. You were quite agitated. You probably don't remember. I didn't take the pills. And that's when I realized they weren't treating me. They were managing me. At 10 a.m. they had an activity hour in the common room. Residents in wheelchairs playing checkers or staring at a television showing a cooking show. No one was watching. I found a phone at the nurse's station when Sharon stepped away. Dialed the only number I'd memorized besides my own. Hello, Mrs. Kowalski. It's Bob. Bob Thornton. Silence. Then Bob? Are you all right? We haven't seen you in days. Your house has been, what about my house? There's been a truck there. Moving company. They took out furniture, boxes. I knocked on the door but a woman said the owner was relocating. I thought maybe you'd decided to move without telling anyone. But it seemed so sudden. The phone was yanked from my hand. Sharon, her smile gone. Mr. Thornton, you're not supposed to be using this phone. You're upsetting yourself. I'm calling the police. You're confused. Let's get you back to your room. She wasn't asking. That afternoon, I told Sharon I needed to use the bathroom. Walked down the hallway instead, testing doors. Most were locked. Storage closets. Medication rooms. Supply areas. The exit at the end had a keypad with a sign. For your safety, this door is secured. Please see staff for assistance. I was in a locked memory care facility. The same kind of place we'd toured for Judith's father before he died in 2011. He'd lasted 6 months in a place like this in Medicine Hat. Called it a prison with carpeting. Said they kept him drugged so he wouldn't ask questions. We'd thought he was exaggerating, that the dementia was making him paranoid. Now I understood. He'd been telling the truth. I counted 17 residents that day. Most in wheelchairs. Most staring at nothing. One woman kept asking for her daughter. A man in the corner repeated the same phrase over and over. I have to go home. I have to go home. Nobody answered him. At 3 p.m. they had quiet time. Residents returned to rooms, doors closed. The hallway went silent, except for the hum of fluorescent lights and the distant sound of a television. I waited until I heard Sharon talking to someone down the hall, something about medication schedules and dosage adjustments. Then I slipped out again. Found an office near the end of the corridor. Door ajar. Computer on, screen showing spreadsheets. A woman inside sorting files, her back to the door. Excuse me, I said. She looked up, startled, mid-30s, administrative badge that read Helena Patient Coordinator. Residents aren't supposed to be in administrative areas. I'm not a resident. I'm being held here without my consent. I need you to call someone. Sir, you need to return to. My name is Robert Thornton. I was brought here 3 days ago while unconscious. I never agreed to admission. My son signed the paperwork, but I'm of sound mind and I'm not staying. If you don't help me, I'll tell the police this facility is unlawfully confining people. She stared at me, calculating. For a second I thought she would hang up. Please, I said, one phone call, to a lawyer. She hesitated, then picked up the phone and handed it to me. I called directory assistance, asked for Patricia Chen. She'd handled the paperwork when I sold some company stock 2 years ago. Sharp, no nonsense. Chen Law. Patricia, it's Robert Thornton. I need help. Patricia showed up 4 hours later with a police officer. Sharon tried to block them at the entrance. Visiting hours are over, and Mr. Thornton is in a restricted care unit. Mr. Thornton is a voluntary resident, correct? Patricia's voice was silk over steel. Well, yes. But then he can leave whenever he wants. Unless you're claiming he's being detained under involuntary commitment, which requires a court order. Do you have one? Sharon's face went pale. His son has power of attorney. Power of attorney doesn't authorize confinement. It authorizes decision-making for someone legally incapacitated. Is Mr. Thornton incapacitated? Dr. Brennan evaluated. I'd like to see that evaluation, and the admission paperwork. Now, 20 minutes later I was in Patricia's car with my belongings in a plastic bag labeled Thornton. The police officer. Constable Davies sat in the back seat taking notes. They'll say you're incompetent, Patricia said, driving north on McLeod Trail. They have a doctor's certification, a signed POA, an admission form with your son's signature authorizing placement. I never agreed to any of this. I believe you. But we need to prove it. Where do you live? Evergreen. 47 Evergreen Heights. She turned west. Let's see what's left. The front door was unlocked. Not just unlocked, ajar, like whoever had been here last hadn't bothered to secure it. Inside, my house looked like it had been gutted. Furniture gone. Pictures off the walls, including the wedding photo Judith and I had taken in Banff, the one that used to hang above the fireplace. The kitchen table where Craig had convinced me to sign those papers gone. Judith's piano, the Yamaha upright she'd played every Sunday morning, gone. The living room echoed when I walked through it. 40 years of memories reduced to carpet stains and nail holes in the drywall. Constable Davies walked through, documenting everything with his phone camera. Each room, each empty space where something had been. Bedroom? Patricia asked, her voice tight. I led her upstairs. My bed was still there. They'd left it, probably because it was old and not worth moving. But the dresser was missing. Judith's jewelry box, the oak one I'd made for her 30th birthday, gone. The closet was empty except for a few wire hangers and a single shirt I didn't recognize. In the corner I found Judith's reading chair. The fabric was torn. Someone had ripped the upholstery, probably looking for hidden valuables. She'd sat in that chair every night for 20 years, reading mysteries and sipping tea. They'd destroyed it, looking for money. In the master bathroom, I found a bottle on the counter. Orange prescription bottle, the label crisp and recent. Robert Thornton, lorazepam, 2 milligrams. Take 1 tablet at bedtime for anxiety. Dr. K. Fisher. I never took lorazepam, I said. I've never even met Dr. Fisher. Patricia photographed the bottle, then bagged it. This is evidence. Prescription fraud, possibly drugging without consent. But my son could have given it to me. I thought about Wednesday night. The pill Craig handed me with a glass of water. Dr. Fisher adjusted your dosage. The way Vanessa had watched me swallow it with coffee, her eyes sharp. The dinner, I said. He drugged me at dinner, told me it was my blood pressure medication, and when I woke up I was locked in Meadowbrook. We searched the rest of the house, found my filing cabinet in the garage, drawers forced open, papers scattered across the floor like someone had been looking for something specific. The deed to the house. Missing. Stock certificates. Missing. The copy of my will. Missing. What remained was a single folder labeled Care Placement in Craig's handwriting. Inside were intake forms for Meadowbrook Senior Care, a physician's certification of incapacity signed by Dr. K. Fisher, dated 3 days ago, a memory assessment claiming I'd scored 18 out of 30 on a cognitive test I never took, and a real estate listing agreement for 47 Evergreen Heights, signed by Craig Thornton as attorney-in-fact. Listing price, $1.2 million. Agent Vanessa Thornton. Prestige Realty. Patricia laid it all out in her office. Sunday morning, here's what they did, she said, spreading documents across the conference table. Wednesday evening, they gave you a sedative. Probably told you it was your blood pressure medication. You lost consciousness. While you were out, they transported you to Meadowbrook. Dr. Fisher, who I'm guessing has a financial relationship with your son, signed a certification of incapacity without ever meeting you. Can he do that? No, it's fraud. Medical fraud specifically, but if no one questions it, it becomes legal reality. She pointed to the admission papers. Your son, acting under the POA you signed, admitted you to locked memory care. The facility didn't question it because the paperwork looked legitimate. While you were sedated for 3 days, likely with continued doses of lorazepam to keep you compliant, they cleared out your house and listed it for sale. How long before it sells? In this market. Evergreen 4-bedroom with a view. 2 weeks, maybe 3. And after it sells, the proceeds go into an account controlled by your son as power of attorney. He's legally managing your assets for your care. Meadowbrook costs about $6,000 a month. The rest disappears. I looked at the listing agreement, at Vanessa's name in the agent field. They'd keep me drugged in there while they liquidate everything I own. Yes, how do we stop them? Patricia pulled out another document. Emergency revocation of power of attorney. Petition for protective order. Police report for fraud, elder abuse, and unlawful confinement. I'm filing all 3 tomorrow morning. Will it work? She looked at me over her glasses. It'll work if you're willing to burn the bridge. Your son will face criminal charges. His wife could lose her real estate license. You'll never have a relationship with them again. I thought about Craig at 8 years old, helping me build a birdhouse in the garage. Craig at 16, asking me how to ask a girl to prom. Craig at 25, introducing me to Vanessa, eyes bright with hope. Then I thought about waking up in a locked room with bars on the window. File everything, I said. Tuesday morning at 7:15 a.m., the police arrested Dr. K. Fisher at his clinic in Mackenzie Town. Patricia called to tell me they'd found financial records linking him to Craig. $15,000 deposited into Fisher's account the day before he signed my incapacity certification. Payment for services rendered. Tuesday afternoon, they arrested Craig. I didn't watch, didn't want to. Patricia called to tell me. Said Craig had been at the house. My house, meeting with a potential buyer, showing them the master bedroom and talking about estate sale pricing, when the detectives arrived. What did he say? He's claiming he was acting in your best interest, she said. Says you were confused, forgetting things, wandering at night, that the move to Meadowbrook was necessary for your safety. Did they buy it? No. The pharmacist at Shoppers Drug Mart confirmed you never filled the lorazepam prescription, meaning someone filled it under my name, without me ever stepping into that pharmacy. That wasn't care. That was a crime. And Dr. Fisher's records showed he never tested me. No appointment, no intake form, no results. The certification is entirely fabricated. Wednesday morning, the court granted the emergency revocation. The POA was void, retroactive to the date it was signed. The listing was cancelled. The real estate agent, not Vanessa, but another agent at Prestige Realty, had to notify the potential buyers that the sale was off. The property wasn't legally available. My accounts were frozen pending investigation. Every transaction Craig had made in the past 6 months was being audited. Thursday afternoon, Vanessa showed up at Patricia's office. I was there, reviewing documents for the criminal case. Bank statements showing large withdrawals. Emails between Craig and Dr. Fisher. The admission forms for Meadowbrook with forged signatures. Patricia's assistant came in, looking uncomfortable. There's a Vanessa Thornton in the lobby. She's demanding to see Mr. Thornton. She's upset. Patricia looked at me over her reading glasses. Want me to send her away? I thought about it. Thought about Vanessa pouring me coffee, watching me take the pill, listing my house while I was drugged in a locked facility. No, I said. Let her in. Vanessa came in looking like she hadn't slept. Hair pulled back. No makeup. The polished real estate agent veneer was gone. Bob, please, you have to drop this. Craig was trying to help you. You've been acting strange since Judith died. We were worried. You drugged me and locked me in a memory care facility. You needed care. You were forgetting things, leaving the stove on when. What? When did I leave the stove on? What did I forget? She opened her mouth. Closed it. You're lying, I said. Same way Craig lied. Same way Dr. Fisher lied on that certification. The house is too much for you. We were helping. You were stealing. And if I'd stayed in that facility another month, drugged and compliant, no one would have questioned it. Tears now. Real or performed, I couldn't tell. He's your son. You'd destroy his life over a misunderstanding. I stood up, looked at this woman who'd poured me coffee, while her husband handed me a sedative. He destroyed it himself, I said. When he decided I was worth more empty than alive. The trial was set for September. But in July, Patricia got something that ended it early. A recording. Meadowbrook, facing liability for unlawful confinement, had turned over security footage, including audio from the administrative areas. One clip, dated the day after I was admitted, showed Craig and Vanessa in a consultation room with the facility director. Craig's voice, clear how long before the cognitive decline is documented enough that he can't challenge the sale. Director, with the medications Dr. Fisher prescribed, we'd see significant impairment within 6 weeks. At that point, any legal challenge would be difficult. His baseline function would be diminished. Vanessa, and if he tries to leave, Director, will follow protocol. He's a fall risk, a wandering risk. For his safety, he'll remain in secured memory care. Craig, good. The house closes in 3 weeks. Once that's done and the funds are transferred, we'll reassess his care needs. They weren't talking about my life. They were talking about timing. Patricia played it for the Crown prosecutor. The prosecutor played it for Craig's attorney. Craig pleaded guilty to fraud, elder abuse, and unlawful confinement. Dr. Fisher lost his medical license. Vanessa's real estate license was suspended. Craig got 18 months. He'll serve 9 probably. Out in time for Christmas next year. I'm sitting in my kitchen, the table's back. I bought a new one, solid oak, close to the original, cost $1,800. Judith's piano is still gone. I looked for months, called every estate sale company in Calgary, but it's gone. Some things you don't get back. The house is mine again, legally, undeniably mine. The stock certificates were recovered from Craig's safety deposit box at TD Canada Trust. He'd hidden them there, probably planning to liquidate them once the house sold. The court ordered restitution for the furniture they'd sold, $47,000 worth, though most of it went to strangers who bought it in good faith and can't be forced to return it. Mrs. Kowalski brought over casserole last week. Cabbage rolls, Judith's favorite. Said she was glad I was all right. Said she'd sensed something was wrong when the moving truck showed up on Thursday morning. Men carrying out furniture while the house was supposed to be empty. Why didn't you call the police? I asked. I didn't want to seem nosy. I thought maybe you'd made a decision, and I just didn't know about it. You know how it is, people downsize, move into care, and they don't always tell the neighbors. That's how it works. People assume family knows best. That sons don't drug fathers and lock them away. That doctors don't forge certifications for cash. That real estate agents don't list houses that aren't theirs to sell. That love means something. I got a letter from Craig 2 weeks ago, forwarded from the Calgary Remand Center, where he's waiting for sentencing. Dad, I'm sorry. We were in debt. Vanessa's business, my investments, we were drowning. The condo market crashed. I'd leveraged everything on margin calls. We owed $340,000 to creditors. I thought if I could just access some of your equity, bridge us until things turned around. It got out of hand. I never meant to hurt you. You're my father. I love you. He never meant to hurt me. Just drug me unconscious, transport me to a locked facility, forge medical documents, steal my property, and leave me chemically sedated until I became the dementia patient he'd invented. All for $340,000, less than a third of what the house was worth. I didn't write back. What would I say? That I forgive him? I don't. That I understand? I don't. Some bridges don't burn. They collapse under the weight of what was done on them. Last week, I changed my will. Everything goes to the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary. Every cent. The house, the stocks, the pension, all of it. Craig will get nothing. I had Patricia add a clause, a single paragraph explaining why. I leave nothing to my son Craig Thornton, as he has already demonstrated what he believes my life and autonomy are worth. This is not punishment. This is documentation. When I die, whenever that is, the will becomes public record. Family, friends, anyone who knew us will see it, read it, understand. Craig wanted my money badly enough to erase me for it, so I'm erasing him from the only document that matters. Some revenge is loud, courtrooms and handcuffs and sentences. Some revenge is quiet, a signature on paper that outlives you both. I keep a copy in my filing cabinet now, locked. The key stays with me, and every night before bed I check the front door, make sure it's locked. Not because I'm afraid of strangers, because I'm afraid of what I already know, that the people who are supposed to love you are the ones who know exactly how to make you disappear, and that sometimes the only way to stay alive is to make sure they can't profit from your death.